Hey everybody, this is Moonbase Alpha. Thanks for watching. So we're going to retouch on the Calico here, and I actually want to just kind of do an addendum to my earlier videos on the Calico. I have actually gotten this thing to work pretty reliably for me now, and I think a lot of it has to do with ammunition. It's not the magazine. I have been winding the magazine correctly. Believe it or not, I'm not that stupid, but the ammo seems to be a big problem. You really need to use pretty hot ammo for this gun. It's designed to use spicy 124s or heavier. Works great with hollow points as long as you use plus P, and seems like it does great with some Federal, I think it's called Federal Premium or Federal something or other. They're the red box Federal rounds. So I'm going to take it out and shoot it for you, and it's a ridiculously accurate gun. Fixed barrel design, and very, very little recoil. It's got a compensator on the thing, and it's got a pretty heavy magazine that's sitting above the bore, so that really keeps the barrel down. And it's got a terrible trigger on it, but it's actually really easy to hit things with. So let's go out and shoot it. Okay, so I gotta admit, I'm not using 124s. I'm actually using 115s. It's this stuff here, Federal Champion. This is what I was thinking of. It seems to work just fine in this gun. So the loading procedure, so you guys know that I'm doing this right. You detension the magazine, you put the follower basically at the lips, and then you load it. And it loads, I don't know, I think it's kind of hard to load, but then again, some people think these are pretty easy to load. They take forever because this uses so many rounds. This is a 50 round magazine. You wind it 10 times to get it tensioned in the back. It's like a drum magazine, like any other drum. Although there's some drums, I guess, that are pre-tensioned, like the Magpul D60s. So I'm just using Full Metal Jacket, Federal Champion in here. And hopefully we can get some good results out of the thing, and you can see that the gun is accurate. So these Calicos, while I'm loading this up, I'll tell you a little bit about them. They came about in the very late 80s. I think 1988 was when they designed these things. And they became a pop culture icon pretty much overnight. In the 90s, you can see tons of these things in all sorts of movies. They were in Total Recall. They were in The Crow, one of my favorite movies of all time. I love The Crow. They were in, let's see. They're in tons of James Bond movies. They're just all over the place. And if you saw an action movie in the 90s, especially the early 90s, you probably saw a Calico. If you're ever wondering what the squirt gun looking thing that the bad guy always carried, it's a Calico. Lots of these things in all sorts of early 80s action movies. And they're okay guns. The quality on them is kind of dubious. They do have some issues. Like I said, the reliability was a problem for me right out the gate. It was actually pretty... it wasn't pretty terrible. It was terrible. But, you know, I've had a couple of these over the years. The first one I owned actually broke a bolt on, but I had no idea what the rounds count was on those. And back in the early 90s and in the 80s, these were like blasting guns. People would just go out and shoot tons of rounds through them. So I got no idea how many rounds it had, if it had overpressure ammunition, if somebody had abused that poor gun. So I don't know. But this is a brand new gun. I bought it directly from a retailer. It's a new production Calico from... when did I get this? 2014, maybe? Anyway, so now that you have this thing loaded up, I've got like 35 rounds in it. What you'll do is you'll crank this 10 times. You'll notice it's got the little number on the side there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it's a pretty fragile little crank there. Rear sights in the back there, I've never had any issues with it not lining up. It's actually just perfectly fine. It really returns to zero pretty well. And you stick it in to the gun, smack it home, and you're good to go. Then of course you'll charge it, and you're off to the races. It does you cannot, like an AR-15, put it on safe until you cock the striker. Well, I guess it's actually a sear. So in this case, I actually have it pre-cocked, and I can put it on safe. Let's go outside. All right, let's see if I can't hit something with this guy. So, loading procedures generally, you lock the bolt to the rear, put your magazine in, and close your bolt. There's a bolt release right there. And it chambered. You do want to check the chamber right there, just make sure it's closed. And it will automatically take the gun off safe. So let's see if we can't hit something. You'll notice the recoil is virtually non-existent. I've come in just a little bit to give you kind of a first-person view of this shooting experience. Of course, here's the other side of the gun. And we're out. So really the biggest problem with the Calico is it's really picky on ammunition. I found this out from the years that I've owned these guns. They can be hit or miss in terms of quality, but generally speaking, if you use hot ammo, they do work. You know, I did a pretty sensational video the first time I showed this off on camera, and I was pretty pissed off because I had just gotten it home and it was just jamming every time I shot it. Switched over ammunition to something other than Privy Partisan and other than the sort of Winchester white box stuff, and this Federal Champion seems to work great. You know, my experience with the Calicos has been, like I said, kind of questionable, kind of hit or miss. They have some parts and components in them that I just don't think are up to durability spec for long term. The bolts, they have changed materials on. I talked to Calico a while back and they said they originally made the bolts out of 440C, which they didn't really know how to heat treat. They since have changed to A2 tool steel, which is very tough. So in theory, they have changed some metallurgy on the inside of the guns to make them more reliable. I don't know, time will tell just how reliable these things actually are. I love this gun though. I think it's a really cool sci-fi looking pistol. It's why I've given them all the chances that I've given them to sort of make it worth it and work for me. I like the gun. Now that I've got the thing working reliably, I really, really do. And it's a lot of fun. It's very accurate, despite the fact that it has removable sights on the rear. You know, a lot of people think that this leads to inaccuracy, but it really doesn't. It's actually a pretty accurate gun. The little viewing ports on the top there, by the way. And it seems to work great. The downward ejection is kind of nice. What I use this for is a fun gun right now. If I can put a few more 100 rounds through this and it seems to be reliable for me, I will put this in my car. The reason being is because it doesn't have upward ejection. I think that this would be a pretty good gun for that. It's also not particularly enormous, but it has a lot of capacity. It's kind of like an FN PS90 or something like that, but this gun's actually pretty shootable. And unlike a lot of those like AR pistols, it doesn't have a big old buffer tube, and it's actually pretty easy to get a hold of, even two-handed, and it makes a little bit more sense to be a 9mm. As you saw, it also has virtually no recoil, so I really like all those components. You know, I will actually find a practical use for this eventually, but for right now it is a target gun for me. Lots of fun, lots of recreation, but it is you know, I think an interesting pistol. If it proves out to be reliable, I'll give you more updates. And you know, for right now, it's working great. Certainly with defensive ammo and this Federal Champion stuff, it seems to run just like a top. Yeah, I really do like it now. Now that I've got it to run. So thanks for watching, everybody. I certainly appreciate it. Thanks for all the subscriptions, and thank you for subscribing for the people who are new. And yeah, thanks for dropping by. See you later.